Okay, Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera. So now we look at chapter 9, Reproduction and Development. Okay, so first of all, for chapter Reproduction and Development, it will be divided into three main subtopic. For 9.1, the subtopic 9.1 is about sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Subtopic 9.2, human reproductive system. And subtopic 9.3, fertilization and fetal development. Okay, so first kali kita tengok dulu what is reproduction. So this is the definition of reproduction. So reproduction means process by which new individuals of a species are produced and genetic material is passed from generation to generation. Okay, so based on types of reproduction, it will divide into two types, which are the first one, asexual reproduction, second, sexual reproduction. Okay, so kita tengok dulu what are the difference between asexual and also sexual reproduction. Okay, so ada beberapa difference yang awak kena take note. Okay, kita tengok dulu for asexual reproduction. So, for asexual reproduction, new individual produced from a single parent without fusion of gametes. So, means that kalau untuk asexual reproduction, it will involve single parent and also it does not involve fusion of gametes. Okay, why? For sexual reproduction, new individual produced by fusion of two haploid gametes, which are male gametes and female gamete, to form zygote. So means that kalau untuk sexual reproduction, it will involve fusion of two haploid gametes. Okay, maksudnya akan berlaku fertilization in between male gametes ataupun sperm and also female gametes or egg to form zygote. Okay, and then second difference, for asexual reproduction, offspring produced are genetically identical with the parent. Okay, while for sexual reproduction, offspring produced are not genetically identical with the parent. Okay, so kalau kita tengok for asexual reproduction, since it will involve fusion between two haploid gametes, maksudnya gametes yang datang daripada father and also the mother, so it will increase the genetic variation among offspring. Tapi kalau untuk asexual reproduction, since the offspring produced are genetically identical with the parent, so dari segi variationnya adalah kurang. Okay, so example of asexual reproduction is binary fission, budding, okay, dan banyak lagi lah. Okay, so now we look at subtopic 9.1, sexual reproduction in plants. Okay, so first of all, before we proceed detail about the process of sexual reproduction in plants, kita tengok dulu what is alternation of generation. Okay, so actually alternation of generation can be found in the life cycle of plant. Okay, so for life cycle of plant, it will have two types of generation, which are sporophyte generation and gametophyte generation. Okay, so secara ringkas, kalau untuk alternation of generation, di dalam life cycle of plant akan ada dua generation. First, we call as sporophyte generation. Second, gametophyte generation. So you have to know what are the difference between sporophyte generation and also gametophyte generation. Okay, for sporophyte generation, we refers to the diploid generation. So means that diploid is 2n. While for gametophyte generation, it refers to the haploid generation. Haploid is n. Okay. And then for sporophyte generation, it will produce haploid spores by meiosis. Okay, and then for gametophyte generation, it will produce gamete. Okay, so gamete means sperm and also egg by mitosis. Okay, and then next for sporophyte generation, it will produce a unique reproductive structure or in specific flower. Maksudnya flower tu adalah contoh untuk sporophyte generation. While gametophyte generation, example of gametophyte, kalau untuk male gametophyte in flowering plant, the example is pollen grain. While for female gametophyte in flowering plant, the example is embryo sac. Okay, so kalau kita tengok based on the life cycle of plant, okay, secara ringkas, okay, let's say yang ni yang kita panggil sebagai alternation of generation. Okay, so Alternation of generation, kalau kita tengok based on this life cycle, the sporophyte and gametophyte generation alternate to produce each other. So what is the meaning of sporophyte and gametophyte generation alternate to produce each other? Alternates means dia akan berlaku secara berselang-seli. Maksudnya mula-mula akan terbentuk sporophyte, daripada sporophyte akan produce gametophyte, daripada gametophyte it will produce again sporophyte. So yang tu yang kita panggil sebagai alternation of generation. Okay, so kalau kita tengok based on this diagram, okay, let's say sporophyte here. So sporophyte is diploid generation. So when it is undergo meiosis, so it will produce haploid spore. So haploid spore means N. Maksudnya di sini bila sahaja daripada sporophyte divide by meiosis, so dia dah terbentuk haploid spore. Okay, so haploid means apa yang berlaku kepada this haploid spore, it will undergo mitosis. So it will form gametophyte. So here kita boleh nampak di sini dah terbentuknya gametophyte generation. And then from this gametophyte, it will undergo mitosis. Then it will produce gamete. Maksudnya kalau di sini ni adalah male gametophyte, bila berlaku mitosis, so it will produce male gamete. Kalau di sini adalah female gametophyte, bila berlaku mitosis, so it will produce female gametes. And then what happen to these gametes? If fertilization is occur, maksudnya bila gamete yang haploid fertilize with another haploid gametes, so it will produce zygote which is diploid. So means that it will conserve again the diploid generation. So what happened to this zygote? Okay, zygote will undergo mitosis, then it will form again sporophyte. Okay, so this what we call as alternation of generation. Okay, so next we look at the structure and function of reproductive organ in flowering plants. Okay, so this is the structure of the flowering plants and also its function. Okay, flowering plants juga sebenarnya kita panggil sebagai angiosperm. So means that kalau awak tengok dalam reference book ataupun dalam question, kalau dia mention about angiosperm, so angiosperm means flowering plants. Okay, so firstly we look at the first structure which is petal. So petal is a non-reproductive organ. Okay, and then it is bright color. Kenapa bright color? Because it will attract the pollinators. Okay, then usually broad, flat and thin. Okay, and then next, this is sepal. So what is sepal? It is also non-reproductive organ. Then the outermost floral part. Okay, the color usually green. Okay, another one, it will enclose and protect floral bud. Okay, then next we look at this one, this structure here. Okay, so kalau awak tengok based on this structure, so the upper part here, this one we call as stigma. Okay, and then this is style, another one, this is ovary. So stigma, style and ovary, all of this we call as carpel. Okay, so what is carpel? It is the female reproductive organ. Okay, so kalau kita go through, for female reproductive organ, it will consist of stigma, style and also ovary. So what is stigma? It is the sticky tip of carpel. Maksudnya dia adalah the sticky tip. Sticky ni maksud dia melekit. Okay, receptive surface for pollen grain. Maksudnya adalah bila berlaku pollination, so the pollen grain will land on stigma. Because of what? Based on the structure or based on the surface of the stigma, dia adalah sticky. So dia boleh accept the pollen grain. Okay, and then next, style here. So style is the neck portion of carpel, which it will connect stigma to the ovary. Okay, and then another one, ovary, it will contain ovule. Okay, and then inside of the ovule, it has female gametophyte or we call as embryo sac. So embryo sac will develop inside of the ovule. Okay, and then next we look at this one. Okay, so this is anther. Okay, and then this one is filament. So anther and filament, both of these we call as stamen. So stamen is the male reproductive organ. Okay, so what is anther? Anther will contain the pollen sac, so that produce pollen grain of male gametophyte. So remember, the male gametophyte for flowering plant we call as pollen grain. Okay, why filament? It is the stalk that hold the anther. Okay, so I repeat, for carpel, it will consist of stigma, style and ovary. So carpel is the female reproductive organ. Okay, and then for stamen, it is the male reproductive organ of flowering plant that consists of anther and also filament. Okay, so for flowering plants, you have to remember the male gametophyte for flowering plant we call as pollen grain. The female gametophyte for flowering plant we call as embryo sac.